Let me tell you a story. A few days ago, I was having a chat to a junior consultant, and she was studying project management. And she asked me, Mark, what makes a successful project? And what could help make me a successful project manager? Now, that's a great question. Hi, my name is Mark Nold. I'm a partner in a big consulting firm. This channel is for managers, for consultants, and for future business leaders. I'd like to help you with skills that they don't teach you in your MBA. So communicating big ideas, how to become a better leader, and most importantly, how to grow your career. I've run a lot of successful projects, and unfortunately, some not so successful. And now I govern a lot of projects at the same time. Today, I'll be sharing some of my experiences of good and bad projects and bring it down to 3 easy behaviours that can make your projects more successful. If you're missing these things, you can still be successful, but it'll be harder on you, your team, and ultimately your career. The first thing I'd like to talk about is schedules. Now, as often said, plans are worthless, but the planning itself is indispensable. Now, the schedules that you create with plans are very, very important to projects, whether it's an agile project or a waterfall project, large or small. Those schedules are critical. And there's 3 main reasons why they're so important. Now, first, it's, as the old saying goes, it's the planning process itself. It's bringing everyone together, it's looking at your risks, understanding what you need to do to be successful, and catching those little details you may not have caught before. So that's the first thing. It's actually getting together and planning. Secondly, it's budgets. Projects can't succeed without funding, and you can't have a budget without a schedule. You have to know who goes where when, what equipment you need, what people you need, and if you plug in how much it costs, you can work out your budget. So schedules are really crucial for that budgeting piece. Now, the last thing about schedules that people often forget about is schedules actually aren't for you. Schedules are for everybody else. Now, sure, your team needs a schedule. They have to understand what they need to do and when they need to do it by. My experience on projects, sometimes they ignore those because they know what to do. Now, schedules are important for the team, but they're more important for everyone else around you. So it's critical that the people funding your project understand when you're due, when you're late. It's critical that if you're working with other departments like procurement, when do you need this equipment by? When do you need this software by? How much lead time do they have? If they have to go to market, how much time do they have to spend? Additionally, if you're working with other departments, you might need their resources. They need to know when to make those resources available, or maybe have a conversation with you when they can't. So schedules themselves are very, very important for your project to run. Okay, the planning process, the budgeting process, absolutely critical. But more importantly, those schedules are important so everyone else can understand how they fit in with your project, how they work with you. Now, schedules are quite a traditional project management tool and in fact go back hundreds of years. A more newer innovation in projects is stand-ups, and that's the second behaviour I'd like to talk about. Stand-ups promote high-performing teams. If done well, stand-ups drive excellent behaviour by being visibly excellent and making a safe space to raise problems. It's quite easy to see a good stand-up, but unfortunately, I often see bad stand-ups. Stand-ups that last for an hour. Stand-ups where everyone's just coming by to have a chat. Stand-ups have inconsistent members. Okay? Stand-ups have a bit of a formula to run successfully. The first thing is they last for a maximum of 30 minutes. So everyone gets together. They can be shorter, but they're never longer. Okay? The second thing is somebody's the ringmaster and runs a bit of a cadence. And this is a great job for your 2IC. It's a great job for someone to step up and run that cadence of the stand-up. So the third thing is, when running a stand-up, you have to run a bit of a process. And the process is fairly simple. You go around the room and you each talk about, what am I focused on today? What am I delivering? Again, being visibly excellent. Second, what blockers do I have? What's stopping me? And last, what help do I need? Call it out. Ask for help in the room. Find out where else you need to get help from. So it's a really important process that you go through individually and say, what am I working on today? What blockers do I have? And what help do I need? You can get this done in 15 to 20 minutes if you stick to it and you run a bit of a cadence around it. Now, how does a stand-up help? Well, first, again, it's all about being visibly excellent. That's really important. It's about showing what you're doing every day and showing what you're focused on. It's actually quite interesting. If somebody turns up to your stand-up and doesn't apply that rule, you can see them immediately. If they're turning up to have a chat, if they're turning up to market what they're doing, they stand out. So having a team talking about what they're focused on and what's blocking them is really, really critical for them to be visibly excellent. Second, it's a safe space to say, I'm stuck, without actually having to think through the whole solution. So if you're blocked by something, call it out. Now, someone else around you might have a solution and might be able to help, but the important thing is to recognize that you're stuck or you're blocked and call it out, because then it's a third stage where you actually ask for help. Now, this is really important in your stand-up because you might have very senior team members, you might have very junior team members. Making it easy for them to call out for help rather than sending you an email at 11 p.m. at night time is critical. You don't want them to wait till it's the last minute. Funnily enough, in my stand-ups, I quite often have a junior team member call out for help and say, I need help on this topic. I say, well, how can I help you? And they say, well, Mark, it's been stuck with you for the last 3 days. So allowing people that safe space to call out for help, allowing people that space to call out blockers is really, really important. So stand-ups are essential. They're a very important behaviour for delivering high-performing projects and bringing a team together. Now, the third behaviour is showcases. Now, showcases are important and they're actually vital these days because they demonstrate value. Now, project managers can calculate earned value, they can report in a project status report. But if you really want stakeholders to understand where you're at with a project and understand the value you're driving, use a showcase. I learned about the power of showcases from my friend Lee, who works in the customer experience area. And he and his team would showcase projects, proposals, oral sessions, and they would do them in a highly engaging way where everyone had roles. They even wore hats and sometimes full costumes, and I think capes once. I've seen Lee and his team run showcases to standing ovations from executives and board members. Showcases are a great way to demonstrate value regularly with your stakeholders and help them understand where your project's at. There's 3 levels of showcases. The first one is just read-throughs of documents and your plans. And if you do this regularly, it's quite valuable. And it's a great first start. So you would take your process maps, maybe your designs, maybe some user experience, maybe even your future plans. Bring all your stakeholders together and walk them through that. Now this works if you do it every week and you show them where you're up to. And while not brilliant or the most engaging, it's a great first step and keeps everyone engaged with what you're doing and the value you're delivering. The next level up of showcases is scenarios. Now, the difference between a scenario and a walkthrough is where you take a persona or a problem and you walk them through the situation. So instead of showing UX or instead of showing a process, you might talk about Betty, the AP clerk, and how she's working through a problem. You might talk about Bruce, the field maintenance tech, and walk him through a problem. So a scenario is a bit different and it's a bit more engaging because people can understand and say, I understand that person, they're my staff member, and I understand now how things will be better for them. Now, the last level of showcases is the role play. Now, people find this challenging, but I suggest you try it. You might surprise yourself. And a role play is where you get 2 to 5 team members and you get them to act through a scenario. This could be simple as a very awkward scripted event, Or maybe it's a full-blown production with props and costumes. Showcases are relevant to all kinds of projects. I mentioned customer experience before, but if you're doing work in field maintenance, cloud management, a renovated customer engagement system, or even a new building designed for robotics, showcases can show your stakeholders where you're at and the value you're delivering. Now, the real secret to showcases, the real secret sauce here is to have everybody involved. Don't leave it to the project team and the consultants. Have your project leader play a role, say as the field assistant. Have one of your key stakeholders play Sally, the customer walking a dog. Once we had a team member act as an illegal water sprinkler with actions. Depends on how far you want to take it. So in conclusion, if you'd like to have a successful project, there's 3 key behaviours I believe are really important to make that project successful. The first are schedules. Schedules have been around a long time. They're really important for your project team. They're really important to understand the budgeting required and the resources required to make your project successful. But lastly and most importantly, they're really important for everybody else to understand where your project's at. The second most important behaviour are stand-ups. And stand-ups are all about being visibly excellent every day. Stand-ups have a very, very simple formula. Get everyone together every day for less than 30 minutes and have everyone talk about, what am I focused on today? What am I doing? Next, what are my blockers? What's stopping me? Where am I stuck? And last, what help do I need? Now stick to this formula and your stand-ups will be quite successful. And you'll see the performance of your team lift and lift and lift. But you have to stick to the formula. And it shouldn't matter whether your project's agile or waterfall or anything else. Stand-ups are a great way to improve the performance of a project team or an operational team. Now, lastly, another behaviour to improve the performance of your projects are showcases. Now, these have a history in the customer space, but they're a great way of demonstrating value, and that's where they really shine. So bring your stakeholders together regularly, get them involved, give them a role, make them wear a funny hat if you want to. And you can try 3 different levels of showcases to improve the performance of your project. The first one's a simple walkthrough. Walk through your documents, walk through your plans, show everyone what you're doing. The second level of showcases are scenarios, where you take a persona or an example worker through that process. The last level, and I must admit the most fun, is where you get everyone involved in a showcase and undertake a role play. And instead of walking through a scenario, you have people act out that scenario. Now, this may sound challenging, but you might find you enjoy yourself, and you actually might find your engagement with your major stakeholders increases over this time. So that's it for projects. These are things I wish I knew decades ago, maybe even years ago. I look forward to talking to you again, and thank you for your attention. Goodbye.